So the Transessence Technique is one of the most important tools that I have in my life because I developed it. So it says a lot about what I was needing at a certain time in my life, which was to really be able to understand that experience I had in meditation wasn't left in the meditation room, that I could actually begin to live it in a more practical way. And I needed to be able to understand how to do that. So I started to question myself, what's in the way of me being in that space all the time in my life, and having it as a life support so that that space could actually expand and I didn't have to keep going back to zero and starting again, which I felt I had been doing a lot of the time in my life. So I found a way to recognize that my conditioning had become a structure, and that structure was definitely personality, which I had been also studying as a psychologist, but that it actually had no energy on its own, that it was a very dead place, but I kept activating, I kept talking as if it had some life. And I started to see that if I stopped talking about it as something alive, I got in touch with something deeper inside, something much more interesting, essentially. I started to get much more interested in what was my essential being rather than what my personality was presenting to the world. So the Transessence Technique grew out of that exploration. I worked for my own need and came up with a tool that I could use that made sense to me. It's very simple. And at the same time, it had a remarkably profound effect on my life because I wasn't activating old stories. I wasn't interested in my stories so much anymore. And the parts that I was still interested in, I needed to learn more and more how to take a distance from. And that gave me a very big space, which I understood I could just live in. I could just be there, and I didn't have to do anything in particular, but I could enjoy that place. And from there I started to share it with other people if they had an interest in finding a deeper, more relaxed, easy, loving place inside. This was a tool that could help. And I noticed that actually it did. For almost everybody I presented it to, it helped. And it became a big part of what I understood my need in my life was, and also my need as a professional was. I wasn't interested in just supporting people to make their personality look better. I was really, really interested in giving them the opportunity and the support to maybe live without it. Maybe see that they didn't have to define themselves again and again and justify how they were behaving through old concepts and old ideas. And the Transessence Technique is one very important way to move your life further and to expand it into a more beautiful place to live.